Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Comics That Influence. I'm Jake, and I'm here with Kurt, my partner in
Howdy.
crime. Hey, so this is a special episode. Usually, we both go into a comic side by side, and we talk about the great art and everything. But we have a little house cleaning to do because I still have my Florida stack to go through. So we're going to dedicate this episode to not necessarily flipping through comics, maybe here and there. We'll see. We're going to play it by ear. But I'm going to be just showing off to Kurt just part of what I bought when I was in Florida. I was in Daytona and Orlando, and then also we have the eBay stack. So these are some Canadian comics that are coming in too. You ready, Kurt?
I am.
All right, let's see. And so Jack Kirby is a great influence, and this is a reprint series. Well, this is not for resale. So, do you know what this is? It's like a reissue of a 1963, I think, Avengers comic, Avengers number 6,
And it's
in its
Marvel?
entirety. Yeah. So these might have been like it says not for resale. These might have been like, um, retail store only
Free comic
exclusives.
book day. What year is it?
Well, it doesn't. It could have been free comic book day. The ads are contemporary. It's not the original ads. The coloring. That's always the question. The coloring is reworked, right? It has to be.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
here's a fade. This is an airbrush fade, a Photoshop airbrush fade, right here on Iron Man's arm. So this is not as it originally appeared. Either the original art, it would be impossible to track down. So Marvel, are they starting with a comic book and just scanning a comic book and recoloring it,
Who knows?
or maybe they have the plates? I don't think they saved anything back in those days. I was reading in the Marvel book where they were stacking up the original art to throw out at one point, and then they
Right,
realized,
right.
let's give it back to the artist. Crazy, right?
That's
So
sad.
I don't know. All I know is I have a copy of Avengers number 6 that I don't have to pay $1,000 to flip through. I can read the whole story. Got this for $1. Here's the same thing. Look, and you remember this issue, Kurt?
Nope.
You never had this. This is the death
Nope.
of Gwen Stacy.
Nope.
Spider-Man 120.
Once again, I never
Oh,
collected
come on.
superhero comic books. I just never got into them.
Whoa.
And never did the oh my, this is the death of somebody. I never did it.
Well, this was
I
the
own
first death of
Daredevil.
somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Daredevil
this.
for a little while, and Teen Titans. Oh, and X Men, Uncanny X Men, but only for about a year and a half, 2 years when I was like in my
So
mid
I'm going
teens.
to talk directly to those Marvel people out here. Marvel was at its best. Probably I think when comics were 20 cents. I mean, maybe I'm just saying that because I was like 12 then, but um, or 11 or something. But this was the first death of. They didn't do death of. And Gwen Stacy was, Peter Parker's girlfriend. This was Spider-Man right between the transition from John Romita to Ross Andrew, who was great, but he was not as good as John Romita. And in the interim, Gil Kane did the pencils. And look, John
Whoa!
Romita was doing the inking with this other guy named
Wow!
Marshall. Yes, and this was a great run, and Stan Lee, was still kind of like he was, still in the building. Jerry Conway was the scripter, but they killed Gwen Stacy. This is issue 2 after her neck snaps, and in this issue, uh, Green Goblin is killed at the end. And this is one of the greatest scenes ever, man. Come on, look at that. I'll never forget this. So I had this comic. And I want people to know this is all recolored, just like we were saying. The line art looks a little messy, looks a little bad. Like if you look real close, it looks like they probably had to take a really good reproduction from a comic and then wash out all the color, recolor it. But this is a very expensive comic. 121 and 122, The Death of Gwen Stacy. And just look at Gil Kane. I mean, Gil Kane was such a great artist. He was one of the original guys. He worked for DC in the beginning. Did Flash. He did, I think, Green Lantern. He did the Atom. Then he comes to Marvel. He's doing covers, like a madman. So anyway, I mean, I'm gushing because these are the good days. This is the early days. Here's another one, Doctor Strange.
Love
Um,
them.
yeah, I don't even know. Like, this is so weird. I don't even know what this is. It's a Doctor Strange pinup, and and it doesn't say what the comic is. And look, there's a card in here for the. Oh wow, this was a fantastic promo. So these are probably like giveaways in 2005 or before 2005 when the Fantastic Four movie was coming out. These are not good movies, by the way. I mean, they're worth watching if you just like want to eat some popcorn. But what is this? They put a Doctor Strange pinup. Oh, so look at this. They put the pinup on the cover. This was Strange Tales. This was originally Strange Tales number 110, the first appearance of
Yeah,
Doctor Strange.
yeah.
Stanley and Steve Ditko. So this is it right here. And then, wow. So people can, this is for a new generation to read it. All right, moving on. That's enough
Breed.
of those. Before we go too far, I have another one of those here.
Luke
Um,
Cage.
Luke Cage number 1, which I don't know. I don't think this is his first appearance. I think he appeared in Marvel Preview first, or maybe like a giant size first. Hero for Hire. This looks like a John Romita cover, but they like isolated it. This is so weird. Um, and then, of course, this is George Tuska art with Billy Graham inking, and it was really good, very expressive. But they butchered the coloring on this. I'm just like disgusted. This is disgusting. The coloring job. Look at this. How bad this is. I would rather see.
Yeah.
I would rather they just repro the old coloring with
Black and
all the
white.
half tone
Just black
or
and
black
white.
and white, right? All right. So where do you fall on Jim Starlin's later work?
Never
This
got
is
into it. Never got into it.
okay,
I stayed with him basically when he was in his epic comics years.
right?
Love all
Yeah,
that
that was a
stuff,
good that was
and
good stuff.
I
So
think I
he
think
did
when he gets into the the Infinity Gauntlet, it just I once again I have no attraction to superheroes. I just in comics, it's
Well, I
just
don't know
not.
if this is a superhero. I think this might be like kind of like a cosmic, more Jim Starlin type stuff. I
I'm
I was
down.
completely unfamiliar, which is why I was asking. And this is not
Right,
even Jim Starlin insides. This is just like
him
typical
writing.
Image insides. This comes out 2011. I think they were trying to, get the Starlin name and maybe throw him a bone, collab with him. But these comics. I mean, I do see a little bit of standing around here. You get to some action here, and it's his breed character. This looks like it's Starlin here, actually. But it says here the art. Wait, is this Starlin inside? Yeah, I guess. Wow. So my mistake. These are Starlin pencils, maybe inks. I'm not seeing the credits anywhere. But when I saw the action, I was like, yeah, that's Starlin. And I guess is he writing this? God, who knows? Anyway, you get to hear, and this is the unmistakably Starlin. But this is Starlin through the image lens. Photoshop coloring. I don't think it's Starlin at his best. Some of the standing around doesn't even look like Starlin, honestly. Standing around, standing around. I mean, I guess it's a cool story, but yeah. So interesting. Um, here's X-Men number 5 reprint. This is of course Scarlet Witch in green because when they first conceived of her, she was you know, she was a bad guy. She was part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And they colored her green because she was sitting next to Magneto, and they didn't want to make her red. But inside, she was red. So that was one of the funny Marvel things. And this is another giveaway. I don't even see the Scarlet Witch in here, so that's just X Men number 5, which is cool. Here we go, Ninja Elite. And
Ooh,
Kurt, you'll
yeah.
tell me if you want me to pop this open. It looks like Adventure Comics.
Yep.
I don't know if it's Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm working on
because it
getting
doesn't
all
say
of
anything.
those.
Want me to pop this bad boy open?
Yeah, just check it out. I want to see
All right.
who's in there.
Um, it looks like a great painted cover, right?
Yeah, it's Peter Sue.
Beautiful. Right, Peter Shoe. Okay, so oh wow, I think this is our I think our Bad Axe insides. It
Yeah,
says
Ken
art.
Burrell.
No, no, it's Gabriel Morissette. It just looked like
Ah,
it for a minute.
yeah,
Writer
yeah,
is Scott Benke. Cover art Peter Sue. Art Gabriel Morissette. So this is pencils and inks, and as you can see, gray tones. Really nice. Really nice. This reminds you of a
yeah.
good
What
era.
number? What number is that issue wise?
Number 2.
Ooh, okay.
Ninja Elite number 2 looks good. This one's interesting. All right, here, Nightlife. What is that? I'm gonna have to look inside. This looks like a real indie, maybe like a self-publish. It says strawberry jam. So let's check out what's inside here. Not too impressed. No idea why I bought this. I think I bought this because maybe I figured it could be a power comic inside.
Right.
Um, so it says Strawberry Jam Comics, Paul Stockton, President, Rick Wilson. There's a lot of names here. And our handpicked distributors here, Capital, Diamond, etc., etc. I never heard of Strawberry Jam Comics before, so this is Nightlife Volume 1, Issue 1, published bi monthly. Yeah, that's a joke. Strawberry Jam is out of Berkeley, California, and the year was 1986. So, ooh boy,
Whoa, wait a
yeah.
second. Oh wow, it kind of has a kind of like a Corbin feel, just like a
Corbin, I was thinking like a
yeah,
Mouse feel, like Art Spiegelman feel.
yeah, yeah. It's very angular, which is very anti Corbin. But I know the paneling, like the paneling, it's kind of
it's a little
nice.
cartoony, a
Yeah,
little scratchy. I think they're using like a dip pen, right? Like a steel pen,
yeah.
right?
I kind of like
There.
it. Put it in my pile
Yeah,
that
you
I'll
like it?
take. Yeah, put it in my pile
Okay.
that I'm gonna come and get.
All right. I'm gonna put a post-it on this one for Kurt. So which bag is in?
Now you're supposed to have a pile
So
of books you're giving to me. So.
yeah. Well, maybe we'll trade, or I'll just
Oh,
hand them
now it's
over.
a
By the way,
trade. Okay.
if anybody wants to buy any of these, just send me a note. We work something out. I'll sell these in a heartbeat. Um, so this is 1983 E-Man, which was First Comics. I think E-Man went through a couple of different publishers, right? Were they originally like Charlton or some other indie? I don't think they started out at first, but this was Joe Staton, who I think he was kind of like a cross between Steve Ditko and Walt Simonson.
Yeah.
And I used to collect E Man. The E was for E equals MC squared, and he had some kind of like atomic powers. Um, I don't know why I collected it at the time. Maybe I was just like you know, missing, Steve Ditko. But I remember there was like some Steve Ditko connection. I think this was like maybe the same company that put out Shade the Changing Man or something. I'm remembering. but not going to open that. Here's DC's The Warlord, Mike Grell. This was issue number one, annual Warlord annual number one. And this is Sword and Sorcery, right? This is
Oh yeah.
1982. Yeah, and you look at all this. This is a lot of great, stuff. Mike Grell was kind of like the poor man's Neil Adams, right? Wouldn't you say that's the
I
way to
wouldn't go.
describe him?
That's a little harsh. I
Well,
I
I think he was trying to do what
I,
Neil Adams was doing, but wasn't quite getting it. The foreshortening and the angles and stuff. I mean, Mike
yeah.
Grell's great, but he was also kind of in his own little silo, which was he was a title guy. He didn't jump around. He
Right.
just did
Well,
Warlord,
he's one of
and
those first creator owners that were contributing, you know, to a big two, DC. So I think
right,
he has a pretty good stake in ownership of the Warlord, which is
and the
probably
Warlord
one of
just
the
kept coming
problems.
out.
Which is probably one of the problems it was never turned into a movie or television series, is because you have to deal with that extra layer of
Royalty, yeah,
ownership. Well, ownership. I mean, you also have a
also
stake in the
and create
say. Yeah,
and creative control,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
good point.
So
I've been picking up some Warlords. Mike Grell also went on to some other indie stuff later. Um, after he was out of the DC contract or deal or whatever. But I think I picked up Warlord 100, and so Mike Grell belongs in the pantheon. You know what? I didn't mean it as a knock to say he was the poor man's Neil Adams. He has a different way of doing it. But I think he was part of the Neil Adams craze when people were just like hungry for that style of
yeah, I would
art.
agree.
Um,
He probably got work because he had a Neil Adams level of attraction. In other words, there was a really good understanding of dynamic anatomy in dynamic posing, which is a really
yeah,
hard
just
combination to have.
and Mike Grill is also consistent, extremely consistent, right? I mean, you
Mm.
don't see any, weak panels. He's kind of like old fashioned. Does this stuff like isolating, good combination of background indications, great storytelling. You got your action, you got your sword and sorcery, you got your splash panels, got your story. Um, I don't know who the writer was for a lot of these, but look, here's your double page, fold out, created, written, and illustrated by Mike Grell. So he was the all encompassing, and the guy got up to 100 issues at least with Warlord. So this guy lived the life, man. He lived the life.
Oh hell yeah!
Um, Birds of Prey. Now, you're like, why did you get this, Jake? I'm like, because I saw Gilbert Hernandez in there. So
Good call.
this is
Good call.
this is years ago when Marvel and DC were just opening up to all the indie creators, in the throes of desperation, trying to get new audiences. The bad news is I see here it says Gilbert Hernandez is the writer. Casey Jones pencil it, John Beatty. So we're not going to see any Gilbert Hernandez art. And so here
Ah,
he is writing the
they
Birds of
gotcha.
Prey. And this, yep, gotcha, exactly. I'm not into this comic. I don't see any action. I see a lot of standing around. Here's some action. Look at this, just standing around posing. What a disappointment! Oh my god! And Gilbert Hernandez, he probably was like, "Sure, I'll take the going rate to just write something for these characters. Why not?" Burned on that one. And speaking of burn, here's John Burns, two, Babe two, and this is Dark Horse Legend series, the one of two. Um, and how about John Byrne here doing this painted cover? It looks like G Cody is credited, but it seems like Byrne maybe did the pencils. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he had
Nice
a
cover.
guy who was painting his pencils
Right.
for covers.
Nice cover. I like this cover.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Um, so and then inside it's just John Byrne with colors by Matt Webb, and I don't love the colors, but John Byrne. Look at that. This is good John Byrne. A lot of action here.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I think John Byrne finally got old and he hung it up, but this was what he was doing for the indies later in life.
Finally got
What?
all that.
Right? He's not making anything anymore, right?
I don't know. I don't really follow him anymore.
No. The last I saw, he was like testifying in the in the Marvels stuff. But this looks worth buying. This looks worth checking out. Just like a non superhero character, Babe too. She looks kind of like maybe like a Lara Croft. What's the one? The
Yeah, Laura
no
Croft.
Laura. Yeah, it looks like a Lara Croft adventure. Um, Here's Bitch Planet number two. Um, let's open this up. I think I might have had one. I might have seen one of these before. I picked it up just so I could pop it open and look inside with you, Kurt.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
they definitely using that halftone filter thing here. And this cover might be a little bit too poster graphic-y for me. I'm looking for some art here, like because when you buy a comic, you're like, okay, if I bite, who's the artist? Give me a sample of the art that I can expect inside, or at least a good cover artist. Get inside, and whoa, we're a little cartoony here. So this says, it doesn't say. Bitch Planet created by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Valentina Delandro, who did the cover. Um, and it doesn't just give us a pencil or inker. This is an Image comic. Oh yeah, look, Image real small. I missed it there. So this is an Image comic and really cartoony. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the way that they draw the lines. It looks like it's drawn on a computer, but it's all pixelated. So I'm going to. Oh wait, it gets a little better here. There's a different style. So this is like an anthology. So this is a little more pro to me. Um, but I'm not sure what the theme is. Bitch Planet, and here's a third story. You imagine this might be like geared toward female reader Kelly Sue
Yeah,
Valentine. If you're new to Bitch Planet,
yeah.
welcome. Dystopian feminist sci-fi take on exploitation genres that attempts to be both satirical and intersectional. How about a mean, funny Chicks in Chains riff featuring a diverse cast of kick-ass women? Um, this is number two. Yeah, I'm not finding what I'm looking for here. Uh, let's move off of that. All right, here we got a 30-cent Marvel, and I got this because it's post-apocalyptic. Killraven is a fictional character that was created in the War of the Worlds world, right? Aftermath. I never really got into him. He was always in Amazing Adventures, starring Killraven. This was a run that lasted a couple of years. I'm not gonna pop this open, but I'm gonna check this out
P.
later
Craig
because
Russell.
yeah, I know that name, but I don't think that's him here. Here it says, oh yeah, you're right. It says Russell.
Yeah,
Yep, you called
that's
it.
his first series. That's a treasure in my book.
Oh
Um,
really? So now you got
yeah,
me interested.
yeah,
Let's see
yeah.
early Pete Craig Russell working for
Yeah.
Marvel
Now I don't know if
on a
I think he's inked by somebody else. I can't remember, but we'll
okay.
find out in a second.
Author Don McGregor, Craig Russell artist. Nope, he's pencils and inks.
Oh yeah!
So
Wow.
yes.
Oh God! Look at that spread
Um
though. Come on.
yes,
Oh.
Morning Trey, right? He's using the Eisner thing. We're going to bring the lettering
Yeah.
into but Russell always has that Art Nouveau approach too. Yeah, this is great. This is great. I see Gil Kane in his style too, and that's a good thing. Um, yeah, imagine getting handed a character. So Don McGregor got the rights to say we're going to take the War of the World storyline and we're just going to keep extending it with a new set of characters. So Kill Raven is the character, um, and here's some of the art. And yeah, he's got such a great flowing style, good
Master.
anatomy. Yeah,
He's a
this is
master.
him in his probably in his quickest. He's probably on
His
a deadline
youngest.
here, youngest and quickest, right? But really good, really good, really different from other artists at the time. I also see Barry Windsor Smith in here, don't you?
Yeah.
He's his influence are really good influences. Gil Kane, Barry Windsor. He could have been one of the bigs, but he ended up going to the Indies, I think, and the Michael Moorcock and the Elric of Melnibone type stuff, right? He kind of
Uh,
stayed out. Maybe he had a bad taste in his mouth from the Kill Raven, where he was probably working like a dog on a deadline for all this and underappreciated,
he's done
right? I
like
mean,
Conan. I think as he moved along, he became picky and choosy, and then so for instance, sword and sorcery has always sort of fallen out of trend. So I know he did illustrate the Die Nibelungen, which is like the ring of
right?
such
Yeah,
which is kind of was one of the things that was based on inspiring Tolkien to do Lord of the Rings.
yep, yep.
Yeah, I
Look
have
at
a
that.
lot of his stuff. His Elric run for First Comics is it's unbeatable in Sword and Sorcery only by like John Buscema and Alfredo
Barry Windsor
Alcala's
Smith.
Conan. Yeah, Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But really
Wow.
held up there. It's just
Really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Really good. This was very cool. So this was 1976. You got me really curious. This is just a reader copy. You got me really curious. I think I'm gonna look up see if there's any interviews with P. Craig Russell or he's just Craig Russell here. What do you think here? We got Grimjack, First Comics, number
Love them,
15.
love them,
You love it?
love
Okay.
them.
So this is Brian Bolland. Who's the artist on this?
That's Brian Boland.
It is, yeah, Brian Bolland. Okay. Yeah, and so Brian Bolland had a great run on Camelot 2000 for DC, right?
Yeah.
But Grimjack is well, kind of like a swashbuckling sci-fi, right? Look at
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So I see the influence of Starlin right off the
yeah,
bat.
yeah.
Um,
Tim
and it
Truman. I think Tim Truman got in
right,
there at one
yeah,
point
yep, good
too.
call, yep,
Yeah. See,
yeah.
this is the
So
stuff. This was the stuff I was collecting. It was
here
all.
we
It
go.
was yeah.
Yeah,
Grimjack,
so this is Tim
Saber.
Truman. No, look, this is Tim Truman, artist, co-creator, writer John Ostrander, writer, co-creator, and then you just have letterer and colorist. So this is Tim Truman, pencils and inks, and I thought Boland, but I was wrong. Um, and Tim Truman's a good guy. He's somebody to really look out for. He occupies a very interesting space in indie comics. Um, good history of titles. What was his biggest one? Look, this is upside down. I wonder if that's on purpose. Look at this. They kind of tilt you, and then they put you here on the side angle, which they sometimes do, and then we're upside down. I wonder
Nice.
if they're doing that on purpose. And then we're right side up. Okay, that was a whirlwind.
There you go.
Um, so I think this is based on the lead singer of the Damned. I don't know. And then you know some interesting stuff here. This is very indie comic stuff. Looks like some Ninja Turtles and some Grateful Dead and a lot of different things going on. Next month, Wolfpack. Good stuff. And then here's a backup story. It's a little cartoony. Uh, you can take or leave that. All right. Rounding out the last few, we got Dimension Z from Pyramid Comics, a 3-issue miniseries.
Yeah, that
Dimension Z.
yeah,
So
that's a. I have some of those.
it says Rick
This was
McCollum.
yes, and we've been trying to get. I actually got in contact with Rick, and he was in a deep
Ooh,
deadline situation. Love him, love him, love him. So we're gonna
1986.
we're gonna get him on the indie creator exchange very very soon. So
South
um,
Bend, Indiana. So this
yeah,
is an interesting style.
I love
This is
it.
a little bit of a departure from your usual, like, um, I guess pen and ink, like brush or steel pen. Right, it looks like he might be using like a marker or Rapido, or maybe just like a Pilot fine liner, because he's got a very consistent line as opposed to the variable stroke line that you and I love and use, right? Where you're using
Yeah,
like a brush with, I mean, he does use different line weights other places, but he very deliberately has most of his lines just this uniform thin line. Here he gets a little thicker, but he might just be switching to another marker. It's not like he's using a brush where you can press hard and soft, I think. Um, really interesting, kind of like native style, right? Recognizable personal style here. A little bit, cartoony, in some of the faces, which kind of harkens back to maybe like that, intentional primitive art style that we see. We spoke to a lot of cartoonists that do that deliberately. It's not like they're trying to do representational art. I like some of these tones here. You got the zipatones. Um, so he's mixing it up. It's a very interesting piece. So Rick McCollum, we wanted to grab him. I remember you did. I think you spotlighted one of his comics
yeah,
early on.
yeah,
Yeah, but I forget which one it was. Um,
yeah.
and
It's
here
in
is
our it's in our playlist for these comics that influence.
right. Yeah, this is interesting. It looks like a real kind of post-apocalyptic, maybe sci-fi-ish, heavy metal-ish, but also kind of like, unique out of the box. Here's an ad for Dark Visions from Pyramid Comics by Tim Tyler. That's a name that I've
Yeah,
been trying to track down. He's done some interesting stuff in this era. So that was Dimension Z by Pyramid Comics. Here we got Ninja Bots Super Special. What do you think? Pied Piper Comics. I've seen this before, but
I haven't.
they're kind of like off the beaten path indie publisher. And
80s
oh, wow! I think this is double bagged. Interesting.
bonus.
I see a little Kirby influence here, right? Maybe like a little Galactus type influence. Pied Piper. Now I wonder, were those the ones that did like Red Fox? Maybe. I'm trying to jog my memory.
What's
Here you
the
can see the dot. Yeah, so
what's the
Ninja
year?
Bots. The year is 1987.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, Pied Piper gives you X Mutants and New Humans. So this was our Bad Axe writer friend was working with these guys, I guess, right?
Paul
They also had
O'Connor?
Beast. Yeah, because he wrote X Mutants and uh maybe not the whole run, but I
No, he
remember him
didn't. No, he did filler.
right. Okay, so yeah, so Pied Piper Comics is advertising here. Beast Warriors of Shaolin, Terraformers, New Humans, who I think O'Connor also did some writing. Hero Alliance, Power Factor, Killer Kevin, the Wild Knights, and that's all that's mentioned here. But maybe we'll see some ads later on. Let's do a flip through. This starts with no, this is the number one. We see somebody flaming through space, and boom! Look at that.
Ah,
Kevin Van Hook, written, plotted, and illustrated,
oh,
scripted by Roger McKenzie and dashing David Campiti. So there was some help on the scripting, and look at that. These are some real bold black and whites here. Um, so I'm looking here. I'm seeing somebody that's trying to channel a little Kirby, a little Wally Wood. Um, they're getting into some interesting kind of drafting techniques here. Right here, you're seeing like maybe some brush, and then this was the day when the black and white indies were taking over.
I like
So you
it.
got this skull character here, and then this like transformer looking character here.
And that's
So
that.
yeah,
That's issue 7.
no, number one, issue
One.
number
Oh,
one of
okay. Yeah,
Ninja Bots,
I got to get a
and
copy.
yeah, so I think this was the maybe when the micronauts might be big, because this reminds me of like a Croyer a little bit, but then here you have some other influences. You said you're gonna grab this. You want me to put this on the side for you?
Ooh, if you would be so kind.
All right. Well, you got here an ad. Here you have an ad for Hero Alliance. David
Yeah.
Campiti, Ron Lim. Those are some names. Here you have some ads for Deathland 2000, The Beast Warriors of Shaolin, Carrie and the Scary Things. Looks a little cartoony. A lot of ads here. The Wild Knights. Here's the Terraformers by Kelly Jones. So he would
Wow.
go on to work for DC, do
Yeah.
some Batman,
You're
right?
selling
So
me.
this
You've
is
sold me on that
the
issue.
the proving
Put it in my
ground here.
pile.
All right, I'm not going to do the last half. How about that? We'll
Thank
keep
you.
that for later. Um, so Brainstorm Comics, uh, you know that name. I started out doing some writing for Kirk Lindo of Brainstorm
Yeah.
Comics.
Yeah, I did some
Um,
pinups.
Small indie outfit. Yeah, I think I was getting $6 a page. I was doing vampire comics writing for them. But here's Sandra Chang's Akimi. And nice cover, pretty good coloring. A little bit photoshoppy, maybe for me. But nice composition. You got this big character and then this heroic female character. Some interesting foreshortening and some good metal kind of guns, technical looking stuff. Sandra Chang. Oh, color insides. How about that? So this is 1997. This is right after I kind of bagged out because
Yeah, I
I
did
was
too.
doing something a year or two before. So this is Brainstorm still cranking along. Um, and here's her sci-fi comic called Akemi. Um, and I'm struck by the Photoshop color. I think they went a little dark. I don't like the printing. This paper, it's maybe like a semi-gloss, and the Photoshop is end up being dark, and I think they're using like a little too much brown for me. I don't know if I'm opening up a comic. I want to see so much brown stuff. Like here it's a little more colorful. It's popping out. And this panel right here, it looks like it took a long time to get the colors on right. There might have been a photo reference on that one. But here it is, and let's see if we get. Oh wow! Here we're getting some serious ass kicking. So it looks like they're maybe doing like a female Judge Dredd kind of thing here, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Sandra Chang went on to do bigger and better things, but this is where she was at. Kind of an interesting combination. The Photoshop looks a little dated. The brown I spoke about. They do have some nice color highlights. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. The story's moving along. There's some decent action here. So I might give this a B plus. This is interesting stuff here. I don't know how long this series went on for. This is number one. And then there's ads on the back for the usual brainstorm stuff. The Luxura Vampire Princess and the Dark Fringe Vampirotica. This is where I did some writing for back in the day.
So
All right, the Spirit.
you're at the 40-minute mark, just to give you a heads up. We always try to
Okay.
keep these around 45 minutes to let these good people
Yeah.
get back
All
to.
right. Well, let's call it there. Last cover we're going to show is the Spirit. This is a reprint. Will Eisner, the Origin Years, early stuff. Um, I believe this was put out by Kitchen Sink, if I remember right, but it's not on the cover. And so these are always great to pick up for a buck. I think I got these for even less because I made a package deal. I said if I buy like 40, 50, will you give me a break? So that's the stack. And just to go back over it one more time, um, there's a couple I'm gonna put aside here for Kurt. There's some really good keepers here for the personal collection. Most of these other ones will go just into rotation. So if anybody you saw something you like, send me an email. Or you see multiple that you want, let me know. These will all be available if you like them more than me. I'm going to probably read a couple of these once or twice, and then just get rid of them. I'm going to read that one again, and I love flipping through the old Kirby and Stan Lee classics. I got the Steve Ditko classic. I'm gonna keep that one, that Doctor Strange, that was Strange Tales number 110. I'm gonna keep that one on file. You know, um, always good to have like the masters to reference. But Kurt, if you want to take us out. This was another episode of Comics That Influence. This is stuff that I bought and we haven't really looked through. So there you go, the good and the bad of it. People should also check out our other series. We have the Making of Turbo Pit Fighter, where we're making our comic, and the Indie Creator Exchange, where we do interviews of other cool indie creators. Anything else on the outs, Kurt?
Now, just let these good people get back to reading comics, making them if they choose. I'll see you next week, Jake.
See you next time. Thanks.